For today's review, we are looking at Dr. Fate from the Mcfarlane Toys digital line, and before I talk about the accessories and the figure, let's take a quick look at the data profile card. And as you can see, there is this beautiful comic book artwork of Dr. Fate based on his design from the Silver Age era of DC Comics. Pretty cool. On the backside, you do have your usual read-up for who the character is, as well as when he debuted. More Fun Comics, number 55, spring 1940. This character is very old. It reads, upon wearing the ancient alien golden helmet of fate, Kent Nelson transforms from kindly academic into the sorcerer Dr. Fate. One of the founding members of the Justice Society, Dr. Fate is able to use his powers to wield magic, conjure illusions, and see the future. And that's a pretty good read-up on who this character is. And now let's talk about what you get with this action figure. And when it comes to accessories, you get 0 accessories. That's not even a joke. You actually get 0 accessories. He does not come with any interchangeable hands in the form of like the hand gestures like he's about to cast a spell. He doesn't come with any effect parts to make it look like he's using his powers. He comes with nothing. All you get in this box when it comes to content is the action figure, the data profile card, the DC figure stand, the regular one, not even a flight stand for a character that can actually fly, and this thing. If you don't know what this is a code for the digital version of this action figure. And with how much this figure retails for, which is $27.99, with tax, this is $30 right here for this action figure. This is a $30 action figure, and it doesn't come with the bare minimum of accessories. Let that sink in. That's not good. That's a very bad precedent. You know, the part that sucks is that I need this guy for my JSA shelf, because my JSA shelf is filled with the comic book designs, which are all the ones that I've gotten from Mcfarlane Toys over the years. And this Dr. Fate, when it was announced, was the comic book Dr. Fate that I've been wanting, as well as many other people, because, you know, the previous versions of Dr. Fate, which I will bring in for comparisons, those ones don't really work for this comic book JSA shelf that, you know, many of us are trying to build. If you are building the same, you know, team that I am, right? Because I do like the JSA characters. I just think it's egregious that, you know, they don't give them accessories. I mean, seriously? Like, we're charging $30 here. Like, how can you not give them accessories, right? And it's just crazy. Like, it sucks too. Like, this is where it is now. Like, I've been saying this for all my other reviews. Every time we talk about the accessories, is that depending on how much the figure costs, it's crazy how sometimes they just give you not even the bare minimum, and in this case, they give you nothing. Okay, don't want to rant on that too long, but you get my point. Let's talk about the aesthetics of this figure. And the first thing you will notice is that the body buck is reused. This is the same standard body buck we have been seeing with a lot of comic book figures from the DC Multiverse line. In this case, this is the Mcfarlane Toys digital line, but it is a subline to the DC Multiverse line. It's all the same. So it is the same exact body buck I believe Blue Beetle was using from that 2-pack. So yeah, in terms of the aesthetics here, it is a very simple design. As you know, with a lot of, you know, the old school comic book designs for many of these superheroes, there was not a whole lot of details with how they were drawn. They were very simple looking, and in this case, it's not really the fault of the company, right? It's mainly the source material. If you're taking this as the source material and making it into an action figure, well, this is what it's going to look like. So, you know, in terms of the aesthetics of that, it is pretty accurate. What I do like what they did is that they did sculpt some new parts onto this body buck to pretty much give it some differences. Now, it's not a whole lot. So let's start with the little gauntlet, or actually not gauntlet. This is more like a glove extension of what he's wearing for his costume. And this is a new sculpt. This is not a reuse, I don't think. So they added this part for his arms. And then for his upper part right here, which is where most of it is different, you do have his helmet that he's wearing, which is a really nice looking sculpt. I like the yellow color that they use. And also, his eyes are visible, as you can see. He has the white eyes inside. And also he has his collar right here, which is part of his costume. Yeah. They made it three-dimensional. It's like dripping down in the picture, but I like the fact that they made it a three-dimensional sculpt up here. And then in the center part of his chest, he does have this thing. I don't know what that is, but there's that detail. And then for his trunks, he has this square detail, which is also part of his costume. It is just printed on there or painted on. I'm not sure how they did that, but it's not sculpted. And then down here for his legs, nothing is different. It's the same exact legs. The sculpting with everything down here is also the same. So there are some differences in some sculpt areas, but overall, there's not a whole lot of new parts. It's just pretty much mostly reused, right? And then for his cape, it is a cloth wired cape, and there is a wire inside, which is a good thing because I don't know what's going on. Recently, I've been seeing that a lot of the newer figures that have been getting the cloth wired capes, like they have the stitching here, they don't have a cloth, they don't have a wire inside, not cloth. They don't have a wire inside, which is pretty bad. I know the license is expiring, but that doesn't mean the quality needs to dip. I mean, if you're going to give them a cape with the stitching, might as well throw in the wire, right? I mean, I don't know what's going on anymore, but there's that whole problem as well. So, yeah, so that's pretty much the aesthetics for this figure. There's not a whole lot else I can really talk about because, again, it's a very simplistic design. I think the execution here is good. In terms of the accessories, that's where it's bad, you know? He could have came with more stuff and actually allowed for him to do some cool poses because these hand gestures, I mean, you're not going to do anything with these hand gestures, right? Like, yes, does he punch people? Maybe. I'm not too sure, actually. Maybe sometimes he has to punch somebody. But most of the time when you see this character, he's always using spells. He always has the, the conjuring hand gestures. And, I mean, what are you going to do with a trigger finger hand and a fist hand? I don't even know anymore. Okay, that is the aesthetics for this guy. Let's talk about the articulation of this figure, and let's start with his head sculpt. So you would think that he would not be able to look up because of his helmet. Surprisingly, they carved enough room inside the head sculpt and also the neck part so he can actually look up. So if you actually want to get him into a flight pose, you can do that, which is pretty good because, the previous version, one of them, he could not even do this sort of articulation. He could not even look up at all, which is really bad. When it comes to looking down, you're not going to get that because, as you can see, it runs into the collar part right here of his costume, so that's not great. For his arms, he can get them up this high up. He can swing them back and forth, no problems. He has bicep articulation up here. He also has the double jointed in the arms. And he has swivel and wrist articulation, which does kind of work. As you can see, it does move. And for his torso, it is a very loose torso, not in a bad way. And he has all this range of motion, which is really awesome. So in terms of leaning forward, he can lean forward a little bit, not a full ab crunch, but it's there. In terms of leaning back, he can lean back pretty good. So if you do carve out a little bit more room in here, if you know how to do that, you could probably get him to ab crunch even more. Now, in terms of his waist rotation, it does move as well, and it's not stiff. It's actually pretty smooth. So there's that. And for his legs, he can do the splits. Not like a full-on split, but still a good spread. In terms of kicking, he can kick this high up. Not too bad. In terms of the legs, he can also double joint. And he does have articulation in the feet, as well as swivel and toe articulation. And that is pretty much most of the articulation on this figure. Actually, one last thing. Does he have thigh swivels, upper thigh swivels? Oh, he does. They move. Look at how free that is. Also, this side also moves too. So that is pretty good. Okay, so for articulation, I would say pretty freaking decent. You can probably get him into some cool action poses, but without the hand gestures, you're not doing any action poses with this guy. Moving on into comparisons, let's start by comparing this Dr. Fate with two other Dr. Fate figures that I do have from Mcfarlane Toys. And let me just get him standing there. There we go. He's not going to fall over. And let's start with the live-action Dr. Fate from the Black Adam movie. As you can see, when it comes to the design of these two figures, they are very different in terms of sculpt. And also the helmet. When this Dr. Fate design was revealed, it was very interesting because he doesn't have his eyes. You know, usually the Dr. Fate helmet, he got the eyelids that are like present, right? This one does not have it. And honestly, I still think he looks pretty cool because this version of Dr. Fate that we saw in the movie was also pretty cool as well. He was the highlight of the entire movie, in my opinion. The way they showcase his powers, the way he fought Sabak at the end, sacrificing himself. Like, all those moments were like the best moments I think we will ever get for Dr. Fate in live action, until I guess they bring this character back in the new DCU cinematic universe thing, right? Like that whole thing. So there is that. And honestly, still a really cool looking figure. Still one of my favorite Dr. Fate figures. But in this case, when it comes to, you know, having a Dr. Fate for your JSA comic book shelf, this is not the one you're going to use, right? I mean, it's very different. It doesn't really fit in with the comic book characters. So there's that one. Here he is next to the Injustice 2 Dr. Fate. So the history with this figure is quite funny to me because we got the original solo release of this same figure with the brighter colors. And then they released this other version of the same exact figure just with the darker pink colors as a page puncher, which I did not buy. And then they repackaged the same figure with the Supergirl from the same video game, as well as the Batman as a 3-pack. And that was a 3-pack that I bought because I think it went down to $24 or $22 on like some sort of sale price, which was pretty good for a 3-pack. And that was the one that came with that Batman that had all that yellow stuff on one side of his body, which looked really weird. So that's how I got this Dr. Fate. And as you can see, he looks cool, but he doesn't really fit in with the comic book look as well. Or he fits in with a certain aesthetic, but not, you know, with this sort of design, right? So that is why I've been looking for this one ever since he came out, because this is the only one that will ever work with the comic book versions of the JSA characters. Point is, there are the differences. Also, this is the one that I was talking about that had the neck problem. He cannot look up because of the way the neck is sculpted. Like, it's like hunched forward. So his proportions look really weird in comparison with this guy. So, okay. That is the comparisons with the Dr. Fates. Let's bring in some other figures. Here he is next to some members of the JSA. So let's have him next to Alan Scott Green Lantern. And as you can see, the brighter colors will bounce with the other members of this team. I like the fact that the colors are really vibrant here when you have them next to the other members, right? So there's Alan Scott. Here he is next to Jay Garrick. Pretty cool, right? The bright, vibrant colors. And then here he is next to Our Man. And they work. Like, it's just good. Like, this is the Dr. Fate that I've been eating, right? The other two, they're cool, but not in this way when it comes to the shelf presence with this team. And last but not least, here he is next to the Silver Age Superman, who is the other figure in this wave. Now, the last figure that I'm missing from this wave of Mcfarlane Toys Digital is the Two-Face. I do need to pick up that figure in the future. I'm hoping I can find the platinum one, because the platinum one is what I want, because it's in the black and white attire that he's wearing. That's the version I recognize the most. The regular one, I'm not familiar with that, period of Two-Face when it comes to his design. So yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap up the comparisons. And if you found today's review of this Dr. Fate figure informative, and also my rant, well, give this video a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel for more action figure content and whatever else I do on here, it would be much appreciated. And with that said, take care, and I will see you in the next video.